You're actually a team of hackers.
A good analogy would be you want to protect your house from intrusions and thieves or whatever. So you hire a professional burglar who's going to come and say, oh, like I can climb there on this and so get through that window. So you should consider putting bars there. Or that's pretty much what we do. And we always find things.
Tell me more about hackers and how they do. What did they try?
So most of the time they look for financial gain.
Matt has been a hacker since he was about 7 years old. He now runs a business where he does what they call in the industry ethical hacking. What is that, you might ask? Well, he's the guy, well, him and his team, that'll go over to your company and for a living they're going to go, let's hack the crap out of this and find out where the flaws are. Come and have a listen to what Matt has to say. Somebody asked me about penetration testing the other day. And it was in conversation about lots of things. But there was some curiosity around, it was kind of like a cybersecurity conversation.
Okay.
And what they weren't quizzing me. Let's say the questions were around, but how do we really know that somebody can get through our website or, get through our electronic firewalls and things? And I go, well, Matt's coming on to the podcast to talk about penetration testing, which is exactly the answer to the question you're asking.
Yeah.
Because there are a lot of software programs and I don't think they have the capability to attempt to bypass a firewall. I imagine that software programs are going to look for all the basic things. But they're not ingenious like a hacker.
Exactly.
So you guys are hackers, really, aren't you?
Yeah.
You're actually a team of hackers.
Exactly.
So I don't know if this is such a great politically correct term, penetration testing, Matt, but I think for people listening, if you said, well, we're hackers, at the heart of what we do is put the proposition on the table that if we, as a bunch of ingenious hackers, can get through all of your systems, then you've got a problem.
Yeah.
Is that basically the premise?
Yeah. So a good analogy would be you want to protect your house from intrusions and thieves or whatever. So you hire a professional burglar who's going to come and say, oh, like I can climb there on this and so get through that window. So you should consider putting bars there or removing this gutter and whatnot. So that's pretty much what we do. And we always find things. There's not a pen test where we don't find significant things. After that, their level of criticality is more or less depending on, if it's a bank and they're getting a pen test every year because they have to, and they've been doing it for years, you do find very low criticality things. But if it's a new app that hasn't been released yet, this is where the hacker mindset really comes into play, because funnily, the developers who design an app, they will look at making sure that every feature is working. So they have a list of features, like you log in and let's say it's an app to order a pizza, so it works, it goes through all the steps and it goes to the payment step and so on. With the hacker mindset, you're going to basically try and make things work in a different way as the way they were meant to work. And so when a normal user is going to say, oh, here I need to put an email and then a phone number, and the hacker would say, oh, what if I put a bit of code in there? What happens? And so it's curiosity mostly that gets you to find things that were and you will get a response that is not what the developers would have thought. It's an email field. People are going to put an email in there. And so this is where we sometimes find a way to basically break through the defenses and find a way into the back end and then try and, see what we can do. Can we get some control on that server and whatnot? And the developers really haven't thought this way because they thought people are going to follow exactly that protocol as it's meant to be used.
Yeah, that makes sense. So it's broader than just saying I've got a business and a website and a firewall, try and hack me. It's actually for apps, software that's across the board.
Yeah, across the board. So we can do anything. So from offices and in a similar way as for apps, your IT is going to make things work. So it's okay, everyone's happy, there's computers, but they might not think, in the details, so you guys are only using this and that service, therefore we should block everything else and only allow that. And generally you don't want to, it's always a question of finding the best, the line in the sand between usability and security. So sometimes you don't want to make users' life too difficult.
Yeah.
Imagine if you had to do your MFA every 1 hour, it'd be pretty annoying. That's where they have to make a decision. It's usually, it all comes down to a risk analysis. You look at what your threats are, what you are looking to defend against. Of course, if you're trying to defend just for the average hacker who might be causing damage, and versus defending against, an organization like a government with unlimited resources and time, it's another ball game. So you look at also what kind of data that you are handling. If you're handling patient data, you don't want to be very careful. If you're just handling some marketing data that is going to be published anyway, then it doesn't matter so much.
So it's risk rated. Really.
Yeah, exactly.
But in this conversation with one of my clients, we were talking about once a hacker gets in, doesn't mean they do anything straight away.
Oh, yeah, that's an interesting one.
Because they could actually say, okay, well, now we've got a pathway to see everything on your servers, and we'll just keep collecting the information.
Exactly.
And pulling it. We may not do anything with it, but at some point we might hold you to ransom. We might not.
Yep.
Or we might sell some of your corporate secrets.
Mm-hmm.
Or we know what your database is. We might sell that to one of your competitors. Like, there's all sorts of iterations of what can happen with information.
So most of the time it's money, financial. They look for financial gain, and in fact, I did a training session last week on the business email compromise, and there was this example of those are WA-based businesses. It was a few years ago, a case where in the construction industry, a company paid a subcontractor. And in fact, they had been hacked. And the hacker had been in there for a while and had intercepted email conversations and managed to fake an email where they said, the bank details had changed, the classic.
Yep.
And so they sent a payment of around $200,000, which is quite significant, to the wrong account, and then the money is basically gone. And so then when the subcontractor says, we haven't been paid, can you? And they said, well, we did pay you, and they checked the bank accounts, and then they figured it out with the email trail, and the police got involved and everything. It actually ended up in court, and the business that had paid the $200,000 to the wrong account had to pay again. They had to pay again their subcontractor because it was their fault.
So we see this in finance all the time. So oftentimes the protocol in finance is if the bank is paying a supplier, let's say you're buying a car and we've got to pay the dealership, they'll ask for the invoice, which will have the bank details on it. They'll ask for a bank statement to show that, it's going to the right account. And oftentimes now they'll call somebody.
Yeah.
For exactly that reason, but otherwise they're liable.
Yeah. So quite a few companies do that.
Yeah.
They just give you a phone call before making the transaction, just to double check.
I did that the other day myself.
Yeah.
Somebody we were paying, it wasn't a massive amount of money, but I thought there's something here that doesn't quite match. So get
It's
on
a
the
bit
phone.
like a two-factor authentication. You use a different medium to double check.
Yep.
So that's a really good one. Some companies have it embedded in their processes. They say it's for their insurance, so probably their cyber insurance premium is reduced because they have a protocol that they follow each time. And I've also seen some companies actually completely outsourcing this step. So there's a third-party company that does all of that and takes the risk, probably. And so they don't have to worry about, they know they're working with you, but when they pay you, it goes through a system that is parallel to them.
That's interesting. Why did you get into doing this? It is an interesting niche thing. Hacking does sound glamorous, even though you've said, no, actually, it's hours and hours of hard slog, and sometimes we don't get anywhere.
Yeah. I guess it's always been a passion. I've always had a passion for computers from a young age. I started by getting one of those graphics calculators that you can program, that you normally get in school in France when you're towards the last years of school. Maybe you're 11 and 12, or I had it in a year much younger than that, maybe year 6 or 8, and started creating programs and games on there, and it really became a passion when I first had a desktop computer at home. Back then were dial-up modems. You remember those?
Oh, yeah.
The kind of internet connection where you waited 2 minutes for a page to load, and
that was exciting.
That was exciting, and when your mom would pick up the phone in the kitchen downstairs, your connection was cut. You'd be like, bah. And so back then we used to hack each other at school. So you'd have someone come up the next day in class saying, well, I don't understand, my CD-ROM drive keeps opening and closing all the time.
So you've been a rascal since you were young.
Yeah, we had good fun like that. Yeah, back then they were Windows 95, there was hardly any protection at all. It was pretty much everything open. So it wasn't very difficult, but and there were little tools that you could use. For example, we were all using in the very early days, you had IRC and a thing called ICQ. So the free letter, I see you remember this one, the little flower, and you could tinker with it and find the IP address of the person you're chatting to. That's how you'd find your mate's IP address, and then that was game on.
So even back then, when you were a kid, you found ways to get in and control someone's computer.
Yeah,
Clearly.
Yeah. There were tools that were helping as well. So it wasn't. We were not down to code, and we were what they call script kiddies.
Yeah.
You find a script that works, and then you just use it.
So now you're doing what used to be a hobby and what you used to do. You
Exactly.
play with when you were a kid.
Yeah, it's like being paid to play Lego.
Yeah. Hackers get paid more though, don't they? Generally. Like if you're a real hacker, would you make more money out of being a real hacker than
Oh yeah, I'm pretty
ethical
sure.
hacking?
Yeah,
So
definitely.
ethics doesn't pay.
The thing is, once you have a family and you're all settled, and you don't want to go to the dark side of the force.
Yeah, it would be a bit embarrassing if your little kid came up and go, "Hey, Dad, why are the police outside?
I'll come and see
Why are
you
they
in
asking
jail.
for you?" Yeah.
Yeah, the thing is with it's very complex, and so you never know if there might be someone watching over you, or you might have left a whole trail of evidence, because a lot of things are logged, and so it would probably be fairly quick to get caught if you did that out of. I would assume if you want to hack, for example, country A, you wouldn't want to be in that country. You'd want to be in a country where also there is no agreements, for how
No
do they call that?
extradition
Yeah, exactly.
treaty.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's why you'd be focusing on maybe from being in Russia, for example, might be a good place to.
So if one day, where's Matt gone? Oh, he went to Russia.
Now, there's something quite specific with Russia that I've heard about, which is the fact that their internet, the way the backbone of the internet is built, contrarily to Western countries where it's been taken by large companies and who have created giant, interconnect nodes and whatnot. In Russia, it's been a little bit more artisanal, where people have smart people have basically brought internet to their area and whatnot, and so the internet is more of their network is more of a patchwork. And so there's quite a few really tech-savvy people over there just to begin with. Hence, probably why they have many hackers.
Yep.
After that, also, we are in a context of international conflict. So when you hear in the news of hacking, it's usually you hear about Russia, but you will not hear what our countries are doing, because they're the good guys. Yeah. When they might be just as active, we just don't hear about it,
and
or
probably,
we don't know. Yeah, most likely.
They're never going to tell us.
Yeah, exactly. They're going to say, "Oh, the bad guys have done this," and could even be them. So there's countries have even reached a level of skills that they can make it look. They leave traces. For example, they leave some Korean notes there and there just to make it look like it was North Korea who did.
So you could frame somebody.
Exactly.
You could, A hacker can frame Australia and say, "You're the one who hacked the UK." No, it wasn't us, but it was.
Yeah.
You've got stories to tell us. You must have some hacking stories, Matt.
There's quite a few interesting ones. But anyway, we generally find quite interesting things when we do a penetration test. Some companies, we found that we could actually make it through their firewall. And then they're like, "Oh, okay, so we have something to worry about," because you can. It's not because you have a fancy firewall. In that case, it was brand new, top tier, enterprise tier firewalls. It's not because you have that nice. You've made that large investment that you're protected. You need to also set it up properly, and that's often where things can be. Where we can find ways to get in if it's not set up properly. Otherwise, we found on a national, like a national scale, a real estate agency, that we could pretty much do anything with their website. So once you're in, you can change property prices and things like that. So that would be a major reputational damage for these guys, if this was the case.
Were they surprised at how much you could do?
Yeah. They didn't expect. They didn't expect that.
Were you guys surprised?
A little bit, yeah. We didn't think it'd be that open. And I believe that they're just lucky that they haven't been found yet. There's just there's not enough nefarious actors out there. No, it's a joke, but at least what we do is really helpful for Australian businesses, because Australia is particularly targeted.
Why?
It's quite a wealthy country, and it's a little bit behind in terms of tech savviness and cybersecurity. I think probably US is leading. Maybe some countries in Southeast Asia, and Europe is a bit behind, but still way ahead of us. I heard Singapore is quite ahead of Australia, because the government has for some time now put significant fines on businesses that get hacked, so therefore more incentive.
Yep.
The way I see it, and I use that analogy quite often, is have you seen those pictures, black and white pictures in New York, where you have the guy seated on a beam, when they were building those skyscrapers on Manhattan, and they're just there eating their sandwich, and they have their lunchbox. Nothing's attached. Everything's. So that is safety. Safety on site has evolved a lot since the days. Actually, when I started my career, it was on a construction site outside of Shanghai. And the safety there was pretty. It was difficult to keep it to European standards, let's say. In a country where they make their own tools with using how do you call that? Using scaffolding bars and they also use a lot of bamboo scaffolding.
Yep.
We had to ban bamboo scaffolding because it looks nice. It's probably much better for the planet. But after after a certain height, I'm not sure it's very safe. So you can see how the safety culture has really evolved. When you look at cybersecurity, it's probably similar. Where at the moment we're on that beam with our lunchbox, and maybe in a few years down the line we'll be with much more security, probably regular pen tests performed by ethical hackers to make sure that it's because it's the ultimate stress test. Because we use the same tools and techniques as hackers, so there's no better way than asking a hacker to try and get in,
of course,
and tell you what they find.
So, horror stories, Matt.
Sorry?
Horror stories. Give us an example of when you guys were able to hack something and the outcome's not good.
Yeah, well, that example with the real estate agency was one. And the thing is, we don't. So, yes, we do find significant findings in most pen tests, but our role is not after to go any further. We tell people, okay, this is what you need to block, and then you'll be safe. So we're really helping people to have peace of mind, and we perform a retest afterwards as well, to make sure
so
that
you guys will do the hacking and say, all right, here's how we got in. This is what you need to fix.
Yeah.
Someone else will fix it.
Well,
and then you'll come back and go, all right, let's check it again and see if we can get in. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we close the loop this way and give them the peace of mind. So usually, if it's their offices or whatnot, it's their IT will do the fixing, or if it's an app, the developers will. And so once this is complete, we do the retest. Of course, it's all part of the one package, and this way they know, okay, now we're much better off than we were before. And so I think that's quite satisfying for the clients who've actually done a pen test. The difficulty, I wish they would spread the word and say, hey, we were, but it's maybe not natural for people to say, oh my God, we're in such a bad situation before, but now we're much better.
You almost can't afford to. Especially if you're in professional services, if you were to declare, actually, somebody, we had a company come and hack us. That doesn't say much about you.
No, yeah.
You don't really want to be in a position where, I don't imagine any managing director or CEO of a company will openly say,
bragging about having been...
We hired someone to hack us and they were successful.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not the message you want in the market.
Yeah, definitely. So, it's a bit like a doctor. You have to keep a certain level of confidentiality on your clients.
So, tell me more about hackers and how they do. What do they try? What are the sorts of things they try to get in?
They'll try. There's a lot of instinct because with experience, you see a web page or a site, you go like, ooh. You have some things, okay, we need to try this and that and whatnot. For example, a WordPress site, there's things that you're gonna have to check. And more often than not, people have left the admin page, which is wp-admin, and you that opens, and it's publicly accessible. Oh, great! And and then you can put it. You can, if they haven't changed the default password, or if it's easily to guess, you can do that. We also have certain tools like there's a fun command that I really like. It's called cool, CEWL, cool, and you run that on some company's website, and it's gonna look for all the keywords in that site, and then compile a list. Then that list you can turn into a password list. There's again commands to do that. You can craft, so you look at the businesses where on their login page you can try, and it will say, oh no, a new password policy is to have this many, you need a special character and this and that. So you put that into your system when you generate a list of million passwords, and then boom, you run that. So with a video card to accelerate the process, a bit like what they do for crypto or or AI. And and if there's no rate limiting on that page, it's quite likely you'll find a combination.
It's just time, isn't it?
It's time and looking for clues. There's a lot of clues left usually by developers. They leave folders that shouldn't be accessible, but if you try and brute force and access and try lots of folder names that are commonly used for, let's say, this type of site technology, like a WordPress site, you'll end up finding things that were not visible normally. So again, this mindset of being curious. And they also have this motto. So the let's say the main certification body for ethical hacking or penetration testing is called offensive security.
I like the terminology, ethical hacking.
Yeah, I prefer that than penetration testing, to be honest. I've been told a few times, penetration testing is a bit, some people might take it the wrong way. But ethical hacking, it's hacking for a good cause. And so that main certification body is called OffSec for Offensive Security. And their motto is keep trying harder. So you're going to try 100 things and maybe one will work. You have to be patient. So it's a bit like when you look at hacking in the movies and they're like, on the keyboard and everything works. And it's in reality, it's hours and hours in front of a black screen. So it's not that
It's
sexy.
not that glamorous, is it?
No, it's not. It's not. And there's a lot of trying. So same as when you look at those series, those crime series, they always find, the clues. And so it's very exciting to watch because everything's working. What you don't see is that in the real life of crime investigation, they probably have a lot of dead ends and false, false routes that they went into and that just didn't work out, and they have some missing information. It doesn't all work perfectly. For example, once I had my storage broken into in Perth a few years ago. And the police came and they dusted the whole place very professionally, like in the movies. And unfortunately, you couldn't find any usable prints. Whereas in a series, they'll say, "Oh, we found that perfect print on the glass," and I immediately identify the suspect. So cybersecurity or ethical hacking is a bit the same. You're going to try a lot of things. This is where instincts help you save time, because with your knowledge and experience, and you know that on this kind of site, it's probably you should focus on this and that, and more often than not, it gets, it works, gets you in. You can hack Wi-Fi's as well. I have a cool device called, I have two cool devices I can talk about. One is called a Pineapple. So Wi-Fi Pineapple. The reason it's called a Pineapple is it's a box with so many antennas. And this is typically something you can use to simulate a Wi-Fi network. So let's say you're at the airport. It will say Perth airport, whatever the network is over there, and you could actually create a second Wi-Fi with the same name that devices are going to latch on, and you can even so this is using some of the Wi-Fi protocols that are normally not allowed, but the radios in that device are unlocked, so they allow you to do this. So it triggers a signal that will force devices to disconnect, and then they will reconnect to your own malicious. And you can even mirror one of those, when you're in a hotel and you want to access the internet, you go through what they call a portal, a captive portal, where you need to put your room number and your first surname or something like that. You can actually copy that as well. So for them, it will look 100% legit. They're in the Marriott hotel. They'll see the nice page from the hotel, log in, and then behind that, they get internet access. So from the user's point of view, everything's fine. But now you're seeing everything they're doing.
Wow.
You're the man in the middle.
Wow.
That's quite common, yeah. And you can also, by triggering those reconnects, so forcing devices to reconnect, you can also find the key to the network. So you could find, let's say, compromise a business Wi-Fi by finding out their key. And then that's it. You have a way in their internal network.
Well.
So that's the Wi-Fi pineapple. And the other cool device is called a rubber ducky. So this is a most unconspicuous USB key device that, in fact, a university has tried that. They've put some of them on the floor in a parking and wait to see how many people will plug them in, pick them up and plug them in. And then obviously a rubber ducky is in fact inside the USB key you can open it up and there's a little, like a tiny computer on which you can put one of those small memory cards and you code in some commands. So it will work on any computer because it registers as a keyboard and then starts opening up all of a sudden the command shell and will enter lots of commands. Like it will type 100 times faster than a human. So you see lots of things happening. It's like, what is happening to my laptop?
Can they not just pull it out?
Yeah, of course you could, but they'll probably be faster than you doing that. And that's it. The damage is done.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Isn't it amazing that people would go, there's a USB key. Let me go plug it into my computer.
Yeah, because people might want to do good and return it to the rightful owner. No? So anyway, that was the experiment from that university.
Yeah.
They bought 100.
And it worked.
Exactly.
Clearly. And it worked.
So the whole study was how many people are gonna plug those in, and they got their answer.
How many? Do you remember?
Quite a few did actually. So they were surprised as to how many people did
Was it as many
connect. I don't remember exactly, but it was significant. So enough to be worried about this. Yeah, it's
Mobile
difficult.
phones.
Yep.
How easy are they to hack?
I'd say the biggest risks on those kind of devices, the most common, are for us when we receive SMS with links or emails and whatnot. I receive a ton of fake emails from ATO, Centrelink, Commonwealth Bank. I never even stepped into a Commonwealth Bank. I don't have an account with them, or NAB, and I just know those are fake, so I just delete. But if you were to, so what I can do is copy that URL onto a Linux machine where it's open in a way that nothing will execute or run, and I can see the script that they're trying to execute. So that is typically this is the most common thing to worry about. So what I usually tell people is if you receive any SMS with a URL, and you don't know if it's legitimate, just don't click. You go completely separately. You go to the ATO site, for example, you log in and you see if there's any pending, issue, anything in your inbox or whatnot. That's the safe way to go. Do not click on the URL. So that's common. Of course, there are, we've heard of, I think it was a few years ago, of a company, was it NSO? And they had a software called Pegasus, which allows to onboard mobile phones but this is more like a weapon. And it's sold to countries. And I think it got a bit out of hand. It got sold to many countries, and including, I think, cartels, drug cartels. So this way they can remotely get full access to someone's phone. So it's not something everyone can buy because it's millions of dollars. And they use what is called zero-hour hack. So those are, it's hacks that no one knows about. So they haven't been fixed, and they're just exploiting this
until somebody finds the fix.
Yeah. Then they'll have to find another flaw, and so they use a combination of those flaws into their software, which allows them to take to basically take over any Android or iPhone.
Yeah, because for most people, they use their phone for everything.
Yeah.
There'll be access to the bank accounts.
Yeah.
Passwords for just about anything.
Yeah. So countries have purchased that. I heard that there has been some spying on country leaders. Like there was it Angela Merkel's phone was under surveillance?
Apparently.
President Macron. There's a few things like that came out in the news. Obviously, I don't know more about that than what was in the news, but this is concerning for sure.
So how vulnerable are our mobile devices then? Are they generally okay? And they're not targets?
Yeah, I think obviously this comes back to the discussion we had at the beginning, where if you're a head of state and you want to protect against governments, then you'd need something pretty robust. But if you're normal Mr. Nobody like us, you don't have to worry about this. It's unlikely they'd spend millions of dollars because it wouldn't be worth it anyway for what they would find. And but you'd have to be careful not to click on any of those phishing. So it's like you have the really high-end hacks, very complex and sophisticated, and there's all the range all the way down to the most common, which is the easy phishing, social engineering. What happens often is, I don't know if you've noticed, you add a new person to when someone joins your company, they will select on LinkedIn that they now work at this place.
Yep.
And then within a few days, boom, they get a phishing email from the CEO with your name and everything and saying, hey, can you please purchase this many gift cards? Hurry, I'm in a meeting, I need this right now. And
does that work?
It worked. I had a couple students last year, and one of them got that, and he did get the cards.
Oh, wow.
He spent $1,000 worth of, here's your horror story.
Yeah.
He spent $1,000 in iTunes cards and called me only after saying, are you sure? I was like, I would never ask you for anything like that. Lucky he could get his money back. Couldn't give the cards back, but he could get his money back because he had a mate who needed to buy an iPhone, and so he could use them at the Apple Store. That was, I was shocked. I was how did this guy, and he was a master, he was a master student in cybersecurity.
Wow.
So social engineering does work really well, and I think that's why this is the highest risk, because it's low-hanging fruits. I think people who do that, they look for easy targets. People who are not so tech savvy, a lot of elderly people are targeted, even with phone calls or
Where do we find you? If somebody wants to find you, hey, try and hack me.
So we're quite active on LinkedIn. That's a good one. So just LinkedIn chat, or otherwise there's contact us forms on our site. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Easy. I'll
Easy.
ask Jeremy to put a link down the
Thank
bottom to your company. So if you want to find Matt,
Yeah.
it'll be pretty easy to find, won't you? Hard to hack, easy to find.
Yeah, obviously, as a company providing these kind of services, you have to be careful about your.
Wouldn't it be
your
funny
own
if we could hack
security.
you? We might give that a crack later. Hack Matt.
Okay.
Thanks for your time, Matt.
Thank you very much.
It was fun.